Hello, 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 and welcome to FRLT season number 7. Welcome to round number 2 of assists as well. We're almost ready to get going, so we are almost there. And of course, this week, round 2 of a new season. I've got to say, I'm quite excited to see what's going to happen this week. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen this week. As long as I can find one driver I am currently missing, for some reason, not coming up on the game either. Which is really starting to frustrate me a bit now, because they should be coming up on here straight away. Not sure why they're not. But we are here, which is fun. We are missing some people at the moment. We are missing an AZR. No, not an AZR. We're missing a Ferrari. And we're missing an AMS driver. I'm not sure why the game is having an absolute spasm right now. So, at the moment, we're having a bit of a strange moment because there's one person. We have 18 people. Who are we missing? We're missing a Ferrari, which is an AERT. But this game has decided just to not let that person in. Which is strange. It's very, very strange. Who's in a place they shouldn't be? I'm not sure. We've got one person too many. Not sure who's in this. Yeah. There's one guy in this that shouldn't be. So, one person's getting kicked. I've had to kick one person. Hello, Sir with Face. Hello, Ethan. So, yeah, I've had to kick one person from this because it was one too many. They've just gone in the Haas. I'm not sure why. But, yeah, let's go through everything now. So, let's go through the track map. As you can see, it is 5.793 kilometers, 3.599 miles, 11 turns, 2 DRS zones down the pit straight and down the back straight. As you see, quite an interesting set. Not a lot of elevation change, quite similar. Of course, the 2 Lesmos, my favourite section on the track. Looking at the calendar, we did Belgium last week. This week we come to Monza. But the rest of the season also looks very interesting. We've got Las Vegas for round 3. Then we got Mexico. Then we have Austria. Then we have Singapore, Abu Dhabi, Silverstone. Then we've got Saudi Arabia and Brazil. So we've got quite a few interesting ones going on at the moment. Also looking at the standings. That's also very interesting. AZR lead out of round 1 of the standings on 24 points. AERT reaching an all-time high of 2nd in the Constructors' Championship, the highest they've ever been, as they start their season off with a great finish and a great podium to get to 22 points. AMS return and is 19 points for themselves on top of a pole last week. Currently 3rd in the championship. OMB as well, 18 points and closely in 4th. Then it is UFRT with a strong 15 points out of round 1 and up to 5th. JSR and SET and ESPL all with tough days, especially SET down in 7th in the Constructors. 9th and 10th both without points out of round number 1. We are finally into the race now, which is, well, not the race, sorry, qualifying, I should say. My apologies, everybody, qualifying. I'm just a bit special today. But we are finally in. We've already got some people coming out onto the track, which I'm quite excited to see. And it is AMS first out on track, Frozen, on his return this season. Frozen on a return for season 7 of assists. Of course, he's had a win or two around before. But of course, here for AMS, can they secure that 20th win? There was a lot of hope last week for AMS upon their return to assists. They would take their 20th win. They sit on 19 wins. They have the most wins out of any team in assists. Of course, that brilliant 19 wins in, I think it's 46 races altogether. So they've had a really strong run. In 46 races, 19 wins. But can they get a 20th tonight in Monza? We'll have to wait and see because, of course, we saw last week UFRT made it tough. AERT made it tough for AMS as well. Their second driver kind of let them down a bit. SET was out of the mix quite a bit. They did seem quite a bit out of the mix after a troublesome start, which I think really let them down. I think we would have really seen sort of 5 or 6 teams there that were kind of really showing championship contention right out of round 1. But Frozen, he's going to be the first driver to start a lap here tonight in Monza. Heading down the pit straight, opening that rear wing, of course, with the DRS. Incredible amount of speed, over 200 miles per hour before reaching turn 1 as the lovely Ferrari gets out of the way before turn 1, of course. Through the first chicane, bit of sliding, massive slide actually, off of the exit of the first chicane. Now heading through the long turn number 3. Heading up towards the end of the first sector, it's going to be a 25.837. Now into turn 4 and 5, another chicane, bit more open than turn 1 and turn 2. Now into turn 6 and turn number 7, the 2 Lesmos through the right into a slightly tighter but also high speed right here. Much quicker off the exit and opening the DRS once again on the lap. And for the final time on the lap as well. Heading under the bridge into the fastest and probably one of the most best sections on the F1 calendar. Heading down the back straight now. All the way down. The Aston Martin gets out of the way. A little bit of slipstream though for Frozen, which will help him out into the final corner. Throwing the car through, a little bit wide through there, but really carrying the speed. And up to the line comes Frozen. What is he going to do for a first lap time? It's going to be a 1 minute 17.556 for the first lap time of the evening. And a very impressive one. Kimi Dekunda goes into P2. 1 minute 17.828. So a bit far off from JSR. A bit like round 1 though. They were a little bit further behind. Simon Equestre beats that though to a 17.373. So very, very good from Simon Equestre. I've got to say, OMB really putting themselves up in the mix. Len went P5, 21.6, but that would have been a slow lap. Alamico goes into P4 with an 18.3, and Lucas Carl can only do an 18.5. So at the moment, 1.2 seconds splits first to fifth at the moment. Deck goes into P4 with an 18.1. UFRT looking like they're on some decent pace again. Shadow beats that though. TDR coming back strong into an 18.1 as well, but P4 at the moment. We'll be waiting to see who's going to do what. Janus Mayboom can only achieve P3. AZR not looking as strong as they did in Monza last season, but still not looking the worst. LK, his teammate, goes to a 17.9, so a bit further behind from himself. I think we just saw Saban come across the line to go P8, and UFRT looking a little bit slower than they were last race. I mean, they were looking solidly about 4th quickest on track, I'd say, as officially goes P6, proving his pace, as then we have, I'm not even going to say that name, because I'm not even going to try it. Just no. Finley, though, goes into P number 4. He jumps both JSR drivers. JSR looking a lot more competitive here tonight. I've got to say, they're looking far more competitive than they were last week. They looked a bit off from their qualifiers. You know, they finished, I think, 5th in qualifiers. And then, you know, last week they looked very far off as, you see, the JSR driver goes very far off track. But yeah, it's interesting to see. It is very interesting to see. Lewin Skiller, interesting to see with his driving at the moment. Yanni Casares can only go P7, can't match his teammate, but not too far behind though, I must say. Only around 1/10 of a second, just shy of 1/10 of a second behind his teammates. So at the moment, very close. But Simon Equestre still sitting out front quite nicely. I would say definitely quite nicely for Simon Equestre. Marcos Guerrero, though, making his way around the track. Is he going quickly? Is he going slowly? I think he is going slowly for the moment. But yes, it's an interesting one at the moment. Kimi just coming out for his first, for another lap already. But JSR looking a lot more competitive than last week. Last week, they're qualifying kind of just outside that top 10. They looked a bit off from qualifiers. They looked way out of position. I mean, they are down quite far. They're down in 6th in the Constructors off of round 1. So they did not have a good first race. Not bad in the Constructors, just points weren't great at all for JSR. Of course, I think just 4 points going their way in the opening race of the season in Belgium. But going into tonight's race, they've really got to pull it together. Just like with SCT as well, they've also got to do the same. SCT, you know, in previous seasons has been the sort of team let down by the occasional poor performance in the races. You know, they're just every so often just dropping outside of, you know, a P8, P13 finish, you know, that really loses them the championship. So with a really poor first race to their season, they really need to make it up in round 2, of course, here in Monza. But can Kimi do this? He swapped sides from UFRT to JSR. Let's see, what can JSR do this evening? Can they really prove their skill at the moment? Because I have to say, as an average, JSR looking best on the grid right now. So definitely looking strong. Still 2 drivers yet to complete a lap. And I really do think Len did not get a fastest lap out of himself either. So I think very much we'll be waiting to see him. So at least 3 drivers at the moment that could be unpredictable in the group. Very much any 3 drivers could go anywhere at the moment. But 1/10 up from Kimi. Not bad. Will jump his teammate and will ultimately actually find himself up to P4. So we could be seeing JSR's top qualifying already going on. But remember, qualifying is only a very small part of the entire race weekend, because it's only 1 point for pole. It's out of all the points you could score, out of 35 points in the race, 1 point for that 36th point is not going to do too much for yourself. Indeed, sorry, the 35th point. But Kimi invalidates. So 34 points in the race, 1 in qualifying. Not great, of course. Only, you know, it's not great. Frozen on a lap. He's just started his. Let's see who's the latest to start a lap. I think it is Deck, who's also improving by 1/10 in his first sector, so he'll also jump up to P10. UFRT not looking so much in it based off of the first run, looking kind of a bit out of it off of their first run compared to last week, where they were battling up inside of the top 8 easily. This week being P11, P12, not where they want to be, but this has been so far the best start by UFRT to a campaign. 15 points in the opening race, 3.5 tenths being found by Deck here at the moment. So he's finding huge amounts of time. We could see him jump up into the top 5 or even onto the second row of the grid, heading down towards the final corner, throwing the car through What can Deck do as he makes his way up to the line? He needs to put in a really strong lap time here. What is he going to do? He does go P4, and he does go onto the second row of the grid. And I've got to say, what a lap time indeed. Here comes Matthias next. Matthias goes P3. What a lap time from himself. 1 minute 1 minute 17.5, sorry. And there goes Frozen. He goes just a bit quicker than Simon Equestre as he goes to provisional pole. 17.3 still. I think that was Finley that just crossed the line. Or he's starting a new lap now. Sorry, he is actually just starting a lap now. Is that the same for Saban? Yes, it is. Waiting to see who's crossing the line next. Yanni Casares has just started his lap. Simon Equestre is pulled into the pits. He's not happy with his lap at all. I've got to send an invite to a driver because sadly they have... they did disconnect. If they're on the list... I don't see them on the list. There they are. Nope, no, that's the wrong driver. Oh my god, what am I doing? I only see one. I don't see Fishley. Unless I'm blind. But I don't see Fishley. I'm not seeing Fishley on the list. Yeah, he's not on the list. Apologies, I'm having to send a message. But Finley went P3. Yannick Casares P4, by the way. So very strong for himself. Marcos Guerrero goes P6. Yanez Maybohm needs a big lap now for himself to go a bit higher. But a couple of drivers jumping him, especially Marcos Guerrero, Finley, and Yannick Casares getting a bit further in front as well. Not brilliant. LK goes P5 now, jumping his teammate. Across the line, Yanez Maybohm. Yanez Maybohm, fastest of all, 1 minute 17.240 and a very strong lap time from the AZR driver. He's won a lot last season, I must say. Yanez Maybohm won a lot last season. Will he win again today? Are we going to see another win? Of course, we saw 6 wins, I do believe, from AZR last season, if I remember correctly. I don't see him on the list. He's not... There he is. There he is, there he is, there he is. Done. But, again, Mirko as well, by the way. P10 for Mirko, so pretty strong from himself. JSR's really not had a good middle run here. Down to P11 and P12. JSR kind of moving down the order slowly throughout their qualifying session. Not been good so far for themselves. Whoa, and a spin. Getting caught in a spin for Kimi Dekunda. Not great for himself, but we do have Lewin Skiller starting his lap. He needs to improve. I mean, a good 2 tenths will still only get him up to P8, so he needs at least 3 tenths in this to really gain something out of it. Of course, the main thing is just showing you are up to pace with the pack. And at the moment, I think he hasn't really been able to... I think JSR, again, this season, haven't really been able to, so far, prove that they're right there with the pack. He's down by almost 2 tenths of a second in his first sector. So he's got a lot of time to gain back just already. I've got to say also AERT, as Lewin Skiller goes off, but AERT also not looking too great at the moment. P10 and P18, they don't look strong out on the grid right now. Which is worrying. It really worries me, actually, that they're that far down after a great start to their season. 22 points in the opening race, their best start to a season they've had. Same as also for UFRT, best start to a season they've had. And they've kind of come away from this with not much. at all. They've come away with basically almost pretty much nothing off for the start of this qualifying. They're very low down in the grid. They do need a big improvement here. Same for UFRT as well. So 3 teams kind of out of place from last week. We see a couple of others up there, though. SET, much more consistent in the qualifying phase. OMB as well. They look a little bit better from last week. But let's ride on board with Frozen for the final onboard lap of this qualifying session. The sun is blazing down on the Italian track of Monza. Heading down into turn 1. Throwing the car through turn 1 and turn 2. The first chicane. Get round it. And so far, pretty easy for Frozen to get through the long turn 3. See the sun blazing down over the back of the RB. Into the end of sector 1. It's 16 thousandths quicker through turn 4 and turn 5. Pretty solid bouncing over the curbs there. Now into the first Lesmo. A little bit wider than we saw in the first run. Into the second Lesmo now. You've really got to get the second Lesmo right. And he does. Getting that, just pinching the apex beautifully there from Frozen. Heading down this back straight now to the end of the middle sector. He's actually slower. He's down by 42 thousandths of a second. It's not good from Frozen in that middle sector. He looks like he's very much equaling out with his previous lap time. He's picking up a bit of slipstream off of the OMB in front, I believe. That would be Simon Equestre. He's actually picking a slipstream up off of. And that is a rival as well that he's doing it. So it's quite smart from himself. Up to the line. Where is he going to go? He's going to go quicker, but not quick enough for pole. And it's going to be a 1 minute 17.245, 5 thousandths of a second away from pole position. But now, Simon Equestre, the man who is P3 and on that second row, has got to do the same thing, but he's got to do better. He has to be quicker. He has to be the quickest out there. That is what he's got to try and do here and right now. Can he do it? He's down by 0.2 of a second in the first sector. He's not doing good so far. Needs a big improvement here. Has he backed off? No, he hasn't. He's still pushing. He knows this is all he's got to get through this lap. He really has to push. And he has to do everything he can. But he's got so much traffic coming up in front of him. He's got a whole lot of cars. Luckily, they just about get out of the way. And the Sauber does as well. But he's 0.2 of a second down. And it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing an improvement from Simon Equestre. So at the moment, it looks like Janez Mebo might be on pole. And it might get even better for AZR. Looks like their championship might extend to a 25th point already. And a second team to take pole this season. And up to the line, Simon Equestre. What's he going to do? He's not going to improve. And it's going to stay. He's going to stay P3. And that is him done for qualifying. Frozen now retires. Who's the next to cross the line? There's Len. There's also Matthias. Matthias is going to be the next to cross the line at full speed. Only Mirko left to cross the line, so it's Matthias. He improves by 1/4 of a second to go P3, just behind his teammate in the end. Then it's Len, who goes P8! Jumps up into that top 8, and it's a very good job on his last run from himself. Very impressive from Len there. Exactly what he needed to do. Very, very strong. Janez Mebo, though, leads this final group away. His teammate further in the distance behind him. But can Janez Mebo improve? He's improved by 1/10 of a second in his middle sector. Across the line, is it going to be a lot quicker? It is going to be quicker, and a 17.135 is the time to beat LK. He's not going to be able to beat that, and that's disappointing for himself. As Shadow only finishes P16. It's not good enough for himself. A lot of drivers heading into the pit lane. Lucas Kull doesn't improve. Yannick Casares goes P5. Only improving by 36 thousandths of a second. It's not good enough. And Lewin Skiller goes P10. Small improvement, but again, not enough. And then Fishley, P14. Mirko retires. And we could just see everybody jumping around. Marcos Guerrero goes P6. And a very strong lap for himself. Finley doesn't improve on his position. And that is that for himself. Deck doesn't either. And that is P11 for himself. And then Alamico down in 18th and last. Won't improve. And that is that. It is AZR on pole. And that is it for the qualifying. And I've got to say, AZR take their 25th point and their first pole of Season 7. AMS took pole. Now AZR take pole. I think we're starting to get an idea of what this season is going to look like. I think we're getting a very good idea of what this season is starting to look like indeed. Let's go through the order of the grid. It is AZR and Yaz Mayboom on pole, followed by Frozen, Matthias, Simon Equestre, Yanni Casares, Marcos Guerrero, Finley, LK, Len, Luan Skiller, Deck, Mirko, Kimi Dukunda, Salmon, Fishley, Shadow, Lucas Carl, and Alamico to end off the grid. But I've got to say, that pole from AZR, 10th ahead of the rest of the pack, proving pretty good. But AMS as well, P2, P3, very strong. Same as SET in P5 and P7. Surprise ESPL up in P6. Big surprise there from them. But we're waiting to see what we can do. Yeah, but it is raining for the race. It is raining indeed. So the drivers just have a little bit of time. The teams will have a bit of time. They have just about a minute. They've just over a minute, about a minute and a half to get ready for the race. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I've got to say, very interesting qualifying indeed. I think we've seen quite a few teams out of place. I think UFRT look a bit out of place, but it is raining. So now it's the big question. Who was focusing more on qualifying and who was focusing more on the race? This is where I think Marcos Guerrero and that top 6 will finish. I think there we can sort of see maybe a bit more of a focus from ESPL on the qualifying, hoping that consistency lap on lap and not making any mistakes will keep them up in that position. But now it is the real question of mistakes or no mistakes. What's going to happen from here on out? Who can do what? Who can really take this the way they need to take it here tonight? Not long for the teams to get ready. About 20 seconds remaining before drivers will ready up for round number 2 of the assists season. As I can already see the drivers are readying up now for the race. First wet race of the season as well. I've got to say, absolutely incredible to see a wet race in Monza. Very rare to see this. I haven't seen this a lot of times. I think maybe only 2 or 3 times I've actually commentated over a wet race at Monza. So this is going to be very interesting to see indeed. So we'll be waiting to see how this is going to go. Should be getting started any minute. There we go. Taking a little bit longer than usual. So here we go. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in FRLT Season 7. Round number 2 of assists, and it is wet in Monza. And away we go already. Drivers going absolutely everywhere, struggling for grip as Marcos Guerrero absolutely tumbles through the field. Drivers knocking into the back of each other all over the place as Yaz Mayboom continues to take the lead through the first chicane. No change out front as Frozen follows along. Matthias battling further back over position. Simon Equestria getting quite racy further back there. You can see he's battling with Matthias for that P3 position, but Yanni Cassaro is also looking at a place. It is absolute action everywhere further back. Look at this. Down the inside goes LK on Finley. And there he goes up into P6 and already an incredible start. Saban has had a bit of a moment further back as he drops through the order and he drops down. But Marcos Guerrero battling his way back up. He's actually back up into P8 already. So he's already found his way back through. Maybe having a bit of a stronger wet setup than JSR can handle at the moment. But it's not been a good start for UFRT, nor has it been a brilliant start for quite a few teams further back as the chaos ensues. But Janus Mayboom leading right away, and it's been a really good start from the front too. They've gotten away very cleanly from the packet. Everybody else struggling a little bit, especially Matthias having that bit of a battle with Simon Equestre, going almost completely off track. He's actually now already put a second between the top two and the rest of the grid. And there goes Shadow on Mirko. AERT not having a good day as they drop down one driver outside of the points paying positions. As now here comes Lewin Skiller. He catches Marcos Guerrero sleeping a bit, and there he goes up into P8 and another position gained for the JSR team as they move further up the grid. And this is exactly what JSR need. They need a strong performance like this at the moment. 10 points will be running their way right now, and that is what they like to see. That's exactly what they need to hold on to at least 7th in the Constructors. And we can just see Marcos Guerrero having some problems as Kimi Dakunda trying to battle his way past the ESPL driver. Clearly, Marcos Guerrero is struggling a bit more in these wet conditions. He's not been able to hold on to that sort of 6th quickest pace. Look at this down the inside. Whoa, as Marcos Guerrero goes off onto the gravel, his teammate having to cut the corner as well. And look at that, Marcos Guerrero drops through the pack, and he absolutely falls down, and down to P13 he goes. And he's continuing to struggle as here comes Mirko, trying to make up a place. Mirko backs out of it though. Thought about it for a second, but decided to not make the move. But that's been a really bad start for ESPL here. They're having another race that's just turning a bit horrific now. But Mirko as well, not having a good start. He's also struggling in his Ferrari to hold on to places. He's just on the edge of the points, really looking just to gain maybe even just one place. He at least finds himself back up into that points paying position, since Marcos Guerrero has already dropped over a second behind, and that is very much not good. Same for also Kimi. He's struggling to keep up as well with the pack in front. Here comes Fishley on Alamico. Contact through the final corner as his teammate Shadow as well, by the way, makes a move past Len for P11. TDR did not look like they had much performance in round 1. Back in Belgium, they did not look like they had much performance, but here tonight, they're looking like they're definitely a point-scoring team. So might we get our 9th team to score points this season? It's looking very likely, but look at this. Shadow and Len side by side through turn 1 and turn 2, that first chicane. Now heading through turn 3, through this curved, long corner. Of course, Len's going to have the inside, so he's going to have that slide advantage, but the overspeed for Shadow is helping him. Whoa! Off onto the gravel and the grass! For the man of Shadow and Len sliding through the chicane. Shadow makes the move anyway up to P11, but oh my god, Len almost trying to take out the competition quite literally there. Fishley battles his way up into P16 and gets ahead of Alamico, and a gained position for himself, and at least helps out just a little bit more. But very close for Shadow, almost went into the barrier there right off of the start, and that is definitely something I don't think he would have wanted at all. It's a very interesting one to see. Very I've got to say that was it was a good save there. I thought honestly he was in the wall at that point. I thought his race was all gone. It looked promising. Whoa, and a big swing on the rear for Marcos Guerrero. He's really struggling through this final corner. Look at him. He's sliding all the way out. His teammate gets by, though, past Mirko for position. But Lucas Cole has that penalty, though. So it's not going to help already. Track limits just proving to be quite strange. It's proving to be quite a strange one for ESPL. Strong qualifying. One of I think actually their best qualifying performance they've had so far in FRLT. But no race performance. They've looked really, it's looked really difficult for them so far. They've not had a lot of performance coming out of that car in the first 2 races, of course. I think it's been quite frustrating for their first 2 races. No points. I think 8 teams scored points, and I think ESPL was one of them. If I stand correct, I might have to look at the standings for this because I mostly remember them, not 100%. Smirko battles with Fishley for position. Actually going to look at the standings now. If you give me a minute, I will actually look at the standings because I remember them, but I don't remember all of them. Let me have a look. Yeah, so it was just TDR and CET who didn't score any points. ESPL did score 1 point, so that was a nice one for them, P13. But TDR and CET yet score points, but as it stands, TDR would overtake ESPL in the standings. So ESPL losing that 8th place to TDR. It's quite frustrating. I could see that very much being true. But it looks like at the moment the rain is getting a little lighter from what we saw at the start of the race. Shadow was just put in the fastest lap of the race as well, stealing it off of Jannes Mayboom. TDR won't score a point from it because you have to be in the top 10, but possibly we'll see Shadow reach the top 10 because he is gapping Len further behind. But as you can see, Jannes Mayboom continues to lead, more laps led for AZR this season. Only, I think, from my count, only 3 teams have actually led a lap in the race so far, which is a strange one. It's a first that only 3 teams have actually led a lap. Last season, I think we had 4 teams in the opening race lead lap. So I think this season, we're starting to get an idea of who's kind of in this. Championship-wise, I think it is very much between AZR and AMS based off of this start to the season. It's very much between those two. And I think we're going to see a lot of this, kind of Jannes Mayboom and AMS's best and brightest. Same for AZR, their best and brightest, sort of coming out into these races and battling over the victory. And I think this is very much going to be sort of a bit like ping pong, just going back and forth with victories. AZR won the opening one. Frozen looks like he's very much ready to take the lead and to, hopefully for AMS, lead it to the end and win in Monza and claim AMS's 20th assists victory. Frozen set the fast lap of the race now. Matthias has, but you could see the track is getting, it's not raining as much now. It's raining a lot less. Look at this. It's already come down a huge amount from the previous lap. There's definitely a dry line that's starting to appear. So now the big question, who's going to go earliest? Who's going to change tyres? Because at the moment it is looking quite dry. It's starting to look quite a bit drier than it did at the start of the race. You can see the rain getting quite a bit slower. So definitely I think we're going to be seeing dry tyres at some point, possibly maybe in the next 5 to 8 laps. We'll see the sort of dry tyres maybe come out at some point in this race. And if they do, I think that will very much shake up the grids, really prove who's quickest, because we saw Jannes Mayboom, he was quickest in qualifying on the dry tyres. You can already see some drivers trying to go onto the wet and cold areas of the track to cool their tyres a bit, because there's very clearly a dry line starting to appear, and the rain has almost entirely stopped. It's very light now, so with it being very light, we're going to have to wait and see. Sort of, is this a sign that we're going to see the dry tyres? Matthias as well, by the way, has also caught up by about 0.3 of a second in the last lap. So he is starting to catch as well on the leaders. So this might be 2 versus 1. 2 AMS drivers versus 1 AZR. And you can see the lap times have come down again. 31.0 is what we're seeing. That's another about 4.5 of a second already coming off of the lap times. And look at this further back. Simon Equestre and Yannick Casares side by side into turn 1, but Simon Equestre says no and holds on to the place. And look at this, Deck and Kimi Dakunda battling over P9 here. Very much UFRT needing this finish. Whoa! Off into the wall! Goes Deck, and oh my god! That has gone very interesting there, and I've got to say, I'm not sure what to really say to that from Kimi Dakunda, because that's just new team versus old team. He's just battled. You know, Kimi Dakunda was at UFRT, and now he's almost just put them in the wall. Pretty much has put them in the wall. No, you cannot see battery. That is not happening. Even I don't know the battery. I'm not even going to look at the battery. So I don't even get any of that. So you're not going to get any of that. Very interesting. Very interesting to see. Indeed. But heading down through this section now. Look at this shadow now, by the way, making the move on Kimi Dekunda for position. So Kimi has to actually lose a place anyway. And you can see the lap times now into the 1 minute 30s, 30.5. Another half a second found in the lap time, by the way. So it is coming down by about half a second a lap. So at the moment, onto lap 8, it's getting a bit interesting. But Shadow with a very nice move past Kimi. Is Kimi sizing up another move? No, he's not. But look at this further back. Deck under attack from Len for P11. AERT, some would say fallen off, as Alamico now retires from the race. The first retirement. OMB suffer their first retirement of the season as well. So not been a good one for them officially as well, by the way. Gets past Saban for position up to P16. Still, this battle out front, by the way, between Yanez Maybom and Frozen, proving to be interesting. Frozen, I think, very much, he's closer than he's been so far in this entire race. Just not making the move yet. Just holding in behind, saving some battery, just waiting behind Yanez. I think the main thing in wet conditions, if I'm being honest, is not overtaking it. It's waiting for the other driver to make a mistake. That's sort of the easier thing to do most of the time, because there's the risk of making an overtake, and then, of course, you've got the other side of it that if the driver just makes a mistake, you could just get through easily without any risk. And I think that's very much what we're seeing quite a few drivers now, sort of just saving their batteries, saving their tyres a bit more, just waiting for the others to make a mistake. And again, the lap times drop again. This time, not by as much, only by 0.4 of a second. Simon Equestrier actually goes into a 29, so we've gained about another 0.7 of a second in lap time. Ooh, big slide. Almost sideways, pretty much sideways through turn 1 for Yanez Maybom. So maybe some struggles on the brakes there for himself, as Len and Lucas Cole battle for position. Len doesn't have a penalty, but Lucas Cole does. He's going to get the better grip. It looks like from this, Len has gotten the better grip, and he holds on to P12 for now. Look at this Lucas Cole trying to find a way past, really trying to find a way past in any sort of way he can. Down the inside, Lucas Cole looks to, but he backs out of it. He thought about it very clearly for Lucas Cole, but not that move, not materializing. I've got to say, very interesting race. The team's very different from last week. UFRT were clear sort of 5th quickest. AERT were clearly sort of, I think they were quite clear as 3rd quickest, roughly. I think they were genuinely, I'd say, 2nd quickest out on track. Not 3rd quickest, so I don't know why I said 3rd quickest, but I think they were quite clearly 2nd quickest out on track, and probably best for consistency. I think from that, I think it's interesting to see them only on their way to score 2 points this evening. At the moment, 2 points is not going to get them very far. As a 29.4, another 0.4 found in lap time for a fastest lap. But yeah, it's strange with AERT and UFRT. You know, UFRT clearly 5th quickest from last week. AERT clearly 2nd quickest, but they've not been able to produce that into round 2, where they now sit outside of the top 10 with all of their 4 drivers. Out of the 7 drivers outside of the top 10, they make up 4 of them. At the moment, they would only score, you know, there would be 3 points for AERT to go to 25 points in their championship. And there would be just 3 points as well for UFRT, who would go up to 18 points. Still their best start, but it's just not a great second race to go off of. That both of them have their best opening race they've ever had in FRLT, and AERT 2nd in their 3rd opening race of a season in assists. They've done that, but in UFRT they've also done the same in in their 5 times they've had their first race, you know, they've somehow done better and better, but they've just this season, you know, they've done better than ever, but now they're kind of down in the dumps a bit. It's their best start since they debuted in season 4. So it's interesting to see. Also, by the way, Matthias has caught up to the front 2, so this has now officially become a 3-way battle for the win. But there's 2 on AMS and there's 1 on AZR. At the moment, AZR will lose the championship lead. They lead ahead of AMS by 6 points. AMS are taking a ridiculous 28 points from this evening. Out of the possible 34, they're taking 28. While AZR are taking the 18 on top of another 8. So they're taking 26. So it's 2 points at the moment difference. 2 points is what we're looking at. So it will go from 6 points down to 4 points. So AZR will still lead. But it's still a commanding performance. Another 2 podiums make it up to the most podiums out of any team so far this season. A third, 3 podiums in 2 races. Pretty strong. I think that's a very strong look for AMS this season at the moment. Very, very strong look for them. Into the final corner we go. A lovely camera angle we get to see. We're also noticing that OMB's Simon Equestre has also caught up to this. So a third team, I think, may be becoming part of this battle. So we might... Last week it was kind of very much a 2-way fight between... at first it was AMS and AZR, but strategy pushed AMS behind, and so it very much became just AZR and AERT. And this week it's more become... It's now, in the first stint, it's all everyone for themselves at the moment. But yeah, at the moment it's interesting. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen, because look at that, frozen right up the rear of Janez Maybone. Maybe Janez struggling, I think, just a little bit with his tyres, and it's clear to see because his pace has dropped a bit off of the. What I've noticed is his pace has dropped a bit off the start from the race, quite a bit from the start. So he is, I think, struggling a bit more on his tyres. Maybe struggling a bit more than everyone else, although he is just setting a PB. But with a drying track and everybody getting a bit quicker, he's actually losing time because he's allowed 2 other cars to catch up to him. So maybe a bit of worry for AZR at the moment, having 3 other drivers in that chance, and Yanni Casares looking like he's also on the edge of just starting to creep into that distance where he could also battle for it and make it, a 4th team in the top 5 that could win. You see, he's really trying to cool his tyres as Lewin Skiller gets the fast lap, 28.8. Not dropping a lot now, 4 tenths again this time round, but it's taken 2 laps to get that. So definitely time's not dropping as much. Even with tyre wear, it's not coming down as quickly as I thought it was going to be, because I thought around this point we'd be seeing dry tyres going on, but maybe by the end of the race, with the amount that time's coming down, who knows? I think if it does come down to about the 25s, give it another about 3 seconds, we might start to see it kick in. Maybe even the 23s, we'll start to see it kick in. So about anywhere between 3 to 5 seconds more, and I think we'll start to see the dry tyres be put on for these guys. But it's definitely clear to see that overheating is starting to happen. Definitely overheating starting to happen, and it does look like it's affecting Janez Maybone quite a bit, because he's having to use a lot of the wet part of the track to cool his tyres. So we're seeing it every straight, he's just moving over to try and cool his tyres down, and we're not, look at that, even Frozen isn't using it. So maybe some tyre eating problems for AZR this evening would not be great for them if they are having this problem, especially in the lead. They've led every lap so far this race. They've taken pole. They don't have fast lap. 1,000th slower, so that lap did not go as well. Len off in the wall. Len retires. Len's retired. He's done. Len is retired. Deck has just set the fast lap. He's just gone about another 10th quicker to a 28.7. Marcos Guerrero gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It looks like this contact has happened between Len and Marcos Guerrero. Guerrero is in. Oh my god. More chaos for AERT, a podium in the opening race, and now a retirement in the second. It's not looking good for them based off of this first race. It's not looking good indeed. Same for UFRT as well. It's not looking great for them. But Yanni Casares, by the way, almost has now caught up to this front pack. He's almost caught up to this front group and is about to make it a fourth team. If he makes it, honestly, if he makes it a fourth team in the battle for the win, I think now we've really got some. Now we've really got something going on now. I think we've really got something to look at. Indeed, I think we very much are going to be looking at something interesting going on. Look at this. Here comes Simon Equestre. He's very close behind Matthias, who's, I think, struggling a little bit now for his tyres. He's had a bit of pushing. He pushed for about 2-3 laps. I think he's struggling just a little bit more now. The rain, a little bit lighter again this lap, and 29.4 is now. Lewin Skiller comes into the pits, but he has gotten a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. 28.3. We've seen it get 4/10 quicker again. Narrowing on that, so 4/10 quicker every lap or two is not too bad. But definitely, I think I think a lot of drivers are trying to push that no stop. I think we're seeing a lot of drivers trying to push the no stop. Do I think they can do it? I don't think anyone's going to be able to do the no stop. I think everybody's going to have to stop at some point. Just undercut wise, how much time is it in the undercut? Is there much time in putting on fresh tyres? I mean, if there's like a second and a half a lap, then stick on the fresh tyres. But if there's only 3/10, it's not much point because the track is drying. As we can see, Jannes Mayboom finding another 4/10 in his PB. The track is definitely getting easier to drive, and that dry line is definitely getting drier, but just not dry enough. You can see everybody's hopping onto that bit of wet track just to cool their tyres a bit again. Definitely clear to see that the team's struggling now a little bit more with it. Definitely everybody's struggling a little bit more. Look at this. Frozen moves over to the other side of the track to pick up a bit. 27.7, by the way. We've just seen 0.6 of a second found from Finley in P7. 27.7. Definitely the track is getting... Again, we're back into this... We're back into that same zone that we were in earlier. Getting that sort of half a second quicker a lap. 0.6 in the latest lap. 0.4 in the previous lap, 1.1 seconds in the last 2 laps. Massive lap time being found. The rain is almost, it's slowed down a bit. You can see it's barely visible on this side of the track. Definitely looking a bit more wet than the other side. But still, Jannes Mayboom, 16 laps out of 27 he's led. Well, 15 out of 27 so far. He will hold the majority, and AZR will go to a second race of the season, leading the majority of the laps. But is it going to be a second race of leading and winning? That's the question. We've had a new pole sitter. Are we going to have a new race winner? Is it going to be AZR? Is it going to be AMS to achieve their 20th win? We've seen a 7th win from AZR. Could we be seeing a 20th win from AMS? Could we be seeing another win for OMB, their second win for OMB? Or will we be seeing another victory for SET? I think this will be their 5th win for SET. Who will it be? I've also got to say Shadow as well, just slowly creeping up on this group. Kimi Dakunda has come in as well. But I must say also Shadow just creeping up on this front group as well, because all this group is now bunched together. LK has kind of now caught up with Finley. But slowly I'm noticing that also Shadow is slowly in the background doing it. 27.3 from Lewin Skiller. Interesting. Again, I think another 0.3 in that lap time. So fresh tyres, that's on as well. So 27.3. So another 0.3 found in the latest lap. Sorry, another 0.4 again. So it is coming down. When the, it is definitely coming down, but it's not coming down enough yet for dry tyres. I think if we get to a 23, then I think maybe stick on the dry tyres, because you can see that dry line is starting is really there, and you can't deny it. It is looking quite dry there. But if you went on sort of dry tires, one touch to the outside and you're done. Any curbs, you're done. You know, that's the problem at the moment. I've got to say, Shadow's also making some great ground. He's gained about half a second this lap on Finley alone, so he's making up some really good ground. Deck kind of on his own in this race a little bit at the moment, but Janez Mayboom under a bit more attack from Frozen again. Yanni Casares, by the way, gets past Simon Equestre for P4. So Yanni Casares looking to push SET to a victory, or at least a podium. Make it another team on the podium, because we had AZR, we had AMS. Will we be seeing our 4th team of the season get a podium? Who knows? And that's another 10th, so a 27.2, so another 10th found. But it's not a lot of lap time. Yannick Casares really pushing. Are we going to see SET become the 4th team of the season to get a podium? It would be very interesting if we do. I will say that. It is going to be incredibly interesting if we see SET become the 4th team to get a podium this season. I was really hoping to see maybe UFRT up there. Maybe UFRT have another 3 different teams on the podium, maybe new. The likelihood, I think I got excited as well early on in qualifying when I saw JSR up there and I saw ESPL as well from qualifying up there. I thought maybe we could be seeing maybe 2 new teams on the podium, maybe make it 5 teams on the podium in the first opening 2 races. But still, Yannick Casares and Simon Equestre both have a chance. They still have a chance to make that 5 different teams on the podium. Indeed, they both have that chance still. And there goes Matthias. He goes into the pits late on in this race. I think everybody else is trying to go all the way. Can everybody else go all the way? That's the question, because at the moment, I'm not seeing Lewin Skiller like incredibly fast. He's maybe about a second quicker, but he's not doing anything insane on those tires right now. He's about to go past Saban for P12. He actually comes out in front of Matthias as well. That's not good for Matthias because he's just been undercut by Lewin Skiller, and Lewin Skiller up into P10 now. This is really bad for Matthias. He's down in P13. He'll go P11, and there goes Marcos Guerrero, who also retires from the race. A 3rd retirement of the evening. But Matthias, P13. Not good, 1 point. Even with the penalty in front for Lewin Skiller, still P12, only 2 points. Would only come out as 17 points for AMS at the end of the evening. As Deck gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so I think we're going to see Mirko really push hard further behind. Mirko's randomly found himself up in this P9 position. But we'll see how quickly Lewin Skiller actually catches Mirko, because he sits 7.4 seconds behind the AERT driver. We'll see how much he actually catches, because that gap is actually going up and not coming down. Through this section, how much time does he gain? About 2/10 through one section, so he's not doing brilliant. There goes Simon Equestre. He feels it's time to go into the pits as well. So he very much feels it's time to go into the pit lane and see what he can do on some fresh tyres. Is he going to be a good stop? It's a very solid stop for Simon Equestre. Where's he going to come out, though? He is going to come out behind Lewin Skiller. The question is, how far behind Matthias is he going to come out? Here he comes, and there's Matthias. Oh my god, lots of sliding for Simon Equestre. Kimi Dekunda just set a new fastest lap as well, so that's just even more improvement. I think it is going to be a complete wet race. Janez Mayboom starting to pull ahead as well in this race, but look at that Simon Equestre. He's quite far behind. See, Janez Mayboom's really pushing because I think he's trying to get those a pit stop in so he can jump in front, and he is definitely pushing a lot because he is really ripping the car around the corners. Everybody trying to just follow. LK's dropped back a little bit more, but again, same for Shadow as well. Shadow started to drop back as well. He's slowly dropped back with time, so he's lost out a bit. He's clearly made a mistake or two to drop back. But here comes Janez Mayboom into the pits. Everybody into the pits. 3 drivers in the pits. LK now leads, followed by Finley. Are these guys going to be going to the end? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But we can see Shadow though. He comes in. We'll see the stops as well. Only a few drivers have actually had stops. Not a lot of people have actually done a pit stop yet. So a lot of people just going the whole way. As you can see, Lewin Skiller does a 27.1 and improves by another 10th. So lap time's not getting a lot better now. Lap time's definitely not getting a lot better. But look at this side by side with his teammate into turn 1, Matthias. He gets out in front of his teammate, Frozen. So he has been able to overcut Frozen indeed. He's very much been able to go and overcut Frozen. Yanni Casares as well has been able to overcut Simon Equestre quite nicely. And there goes Frozen past his teammates. Interesting to see there. Very interesting to see. Very interesting strategies coming from everybody. Indeed. Very, very interesting in all of this. It's not gone good for Simon Equestre though, who's actually found himself kind of just at the back now of this little group. But really late pit stops in this race. If it's somebody like Shadow doesn't decide to stop, and he decides to go to the end of the race, or sort of all of these guys at the front decide to go to the end, LK is going further. Finley isn't. So clearly LK has the belief that he could win. Shadow as well probably looks like he has the belief he can do it. Same for Deck. How long do we think it's going to be before the rest catch? 5 laps to catch. I'm trying to see how far back to... So it's about, for Shadow, it's roughly about 6 seconds at the moment. About 5.5, nearly 6 seconds gap to the guys behind. Can the guys behind catch quick enough though? We'll have to see, because of course Lewin Skiller's on warm tyres. So we'll have to wait and see, can Lewin Skiller do it? And it's the battling through the traffic as well. JSR of course have that penalty against them, which just isn't going to help. Saban is in the wall, and he's come out on the mediums. I think he's very much the only driver to have come out on dry tyres, as he is on the medium tyres, and that is disappointing for himself, as there goes Lewin Skiller past Mirko already. I don't think he'll be able to catch LK though. I don't think anybody's going to catch LK, but the big question is there going to be punctures? Because the rain has just stopped. It has just stopped now. So do they have the belief that dry tyres are going to be the way to go in 2 laps time? LK comes in, by the way. Is it dry tyres for LK? Is it dry tyres? It is. It's the mediums. It's the mediums going on for LK. Is this big brain? Is this a big brain strategy here from some drivers like Shadow? Have they just thought that just go different? Go big or go home? That is very much what I'm thinking in my head, is that with the rain stopping, look at how dry the track is now. The track looks rather dry. Is this the way to go? Is this the way to go? Let's see with LK. Is it the way to go? Is he catching Finley? No, he's not. He's not catching at the moment. So maybe wrong strategy from these two. It looks like they've made the wrong strategy call, unless maybe for the last one or 3 laps, maybe 3 or 4 laps, they start to gain something back. As there goes Finley past Kimi Dekunda for position. I'm not sure. Very strange strategy indeed. I think it's... They seem about level at the moment. Deck now goes into pits. He gets a 10-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And UFRT's evening just seems to be falling apart more and more. Just by the seconds, just falling apart at the moment. Kimi Dekunda battling his way past Simon Equestre. But is there time being gained? There is. There is. Hang on. There is some. Because LK's just starting to close up a bit more now. I've just noticed the track has kind of gone completely dry. It is bone dry now. Okay. He's not going much slower now than his, when he was on Inters, so... Oh, when I had to say that. Commentator's curse as LK goes in the wall. Oh my god. Oh my god. Did not expect that to see from LK there in the wall. Is there going to be another pit stop for LK? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see another pit stop, but I don't think the dry tyres that early. I think definitely from now on, the dry tyres will be quicker this lap onwards. But I don't think outside of that, it's going to be quicker. Because he's 25.6. The times are coming down closer to dry tyres now. Yannick Casares gets past Matthias for position, by the way. But remember, Lewin Skiller has a penalty. So it's not going to be him winning. It's going to be either Frozen or Janez Mayboom. So JSR are in for a podium at the moment. So he will at least see one new team on the podium. A fourth team to get a podium. And it will be one of the debuting teams this season to do it. Unless, of course, Lewin Skiller can get his penalty removed. And if he does, I'd be surprised if he does. He has a 10-second time penalty. So potentially he could get his penalty removed and do that. But he is going to be off the podium. With a 10-second time penalty, he's going to be way off the podium. He'll be down in P8 roughly. So... Oh, if they get it removed, they could be looking at a victory. I just want to see what is Shadow doing for lap time at the moment. Does he look comfortable? He looks decent, actually. That it's looking a bit quicker from Shadow. Not insanely quick, but it's looking better than what LK is doing. And LK is also catching Simon Equestre on track, even with wing damage. So... there's a feeling. I think there is a bit of a feeling at the moment that potentially the dry tyres are now quicker than the wet tyres. But it's a bit late now. But here they go, side by side. Janez Mayboom and Lewin Skiller down into turn 1. JSR versus AZR into turn 1. Janez Mayboom can't make the move. He's struggling to get past the McLaren for the moment, while we just see Frozen sitting off in the distance. 2 laps to go in this race. Here comes Janez Mayboom again on the McLaren. He's going to try and choose the racing line. He's going to try and go around the outside. It's never good to try the racing line. Oh my god. Contact all over the place. Dragging off into the gravel goes Lewin Skiller. But it... Oh! Whoa! Janez Mayboom. Very defensive there from himself, covering a very tight line. I'd say possibly a bit close there from Janez Mayboom. Who knows, possibly AMS could even report that. That would be horrendous for Janez Mayboom to lose it like that. But it's allowed Yannick Casares to close a bit more in on this battle. Is it going to be dry enough on the next lap for DRS? I am interested to see if we're going to see DRS on the next lap. But will Frozen have another go? Will it be an AZR victory in Monza as well? Are we going to see a win from AZR again? An 8th victory for AZR in assists. Still trailing AMS in all-time wins by 11 victories. Nonetheless, we'll wait to see. Look at this. Frozen closing. More and more. And oh, and another mistake for Janez Mayboom. Through turn 1 and turn 2, he's not able to get it right. And again, it's another mistake. It's a big mistake from Janez Mayboom. Again, it's another mistake into turn 1. It's led to being quite risky. Look at this. Covering the inside line is what Janez Mayboom is doing. He's doing everything he can to hold on to this win. Or will AMS get their 20th? Look at this. Down the inside. Looks Frozen. He looks for it. Oh my god, I thought they had crashed, honestly. To me, I didn't see them coming around the corner. Looked like they had crashed. But here comes Frozen. He's got one more attempt. One more attempt at Janez Mayboom into the final corner. It's all he's got left. It's the only thing in his arsenal he could use. against Janez Mayboom. It's all he's got left he can use, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Janez Mayboom heading round the final corner. It will be another victory for AZR. And back-to-back victories, an 8th victory for AZR as Janez Mayboom wins in FRLT Assists Season 7 in Monza with Frozen P2 and Yanni Casares in a brilliant P3 and Kimi Dekunda P4, Finley P5 and JSR with a great P4, P6 finish. And Matthias, though, having a bad last moment as he finishes P7 at the end of the race. In the end, it's 24 points for AZR again, I believe, this week. Another 25 points this week. To 49 points in total. I think it is 49 points they've gotten in total. So that's after the second race. AMS, though, I think they got 7 from Matthias. And they've got 15, so 22. So they have just dropped 2 more points. So instead of 6 points behind, they're now 8 points behind. But it's looking very close at the top of the championship, but who knows? I think it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of penalties. A lot of people saying that penalties are going to be, I think, coming in. I think that's very true. I think we are going to see quite a few teams kick in with some penalties. I can see a lot of people having some debates in the chat. So I think it's very debatable with how that went this evening. I think some teams, they're going to be definitely making some reports after tonight's race. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. It was some, actually, to be fair, it was some brilliant racing what we saw tonight. I cannot lie to you. Some absolutely top class racing that we saw tonight from everybody. I think it's one of those tough ones, though. I think it's one of those tough ones where it's kind of AZR, like another victory, an 8th win in 13 races now. If this was one whole season, they would have the best season out of anyone. But it is Janez Mayboom who wins from pole, followed by Frozen, Yanni Casares, Kimi Dekunda, Finley, Lewin Skiller, Matthias, LK, Shadow, Simon Equestro, Fishley, Seban, Mirko, Lucas Cull, Deck, Marcus Guerrero, Len, and Alan Miko are 3 retirements. Deck also retired, so I'd have to push him back up. So I'd have to check the results for that. But what a race indeed it was, and very interesting. Very interesting to see, I think, again this week. I think we've seen a very interesting, as usual, very interesting race. Very interesting again. So there is going to be interviews like usual. There is, of course, going to be lovely interviews. So we get to hear from the teams and their managers or their drivers of how the race was. I'm excited to actually hear about this race because I think it was actually incredibly interesting to see. I think it was a very different race from what we've seen. I think it was a bit confusing. I think as well, strategy-wise. I think some teams looked a bit confused. I think some teams tried to guess a performance area and it just didn't work. I think they tried to guess where, I guess, the performance was. I think they were trying to guess what the right tires were and when to change and what to do. And I don't think it worked tonight. I think especially we saw with a few teams, TDR tried it. I think LK also tried it as well for AZR, and it didn't really work. Lucky enough, they were kind of in a position on their own enough that it wouldn't really change their position after stopping, but I think it was just a bit of a waste of points, to be honest, to pit that late, or even just to pit for dry tires. I think it was just so. I think it was just so late. It was just. I don't think anybody could. I don't think anybody could sort of. I guess around it. But yeah, let's see what we're gonna hear from the teams. Don't mind that. Just my entire setup falling apart slowly. The time as I drag it with a cable. Yeah, interesting, very interesting race. So we'll go to the lovely interview screen now. So let's drag in one person. Hello, Ethan. Welcome to the interviews. It is great to have you. Of course, congratulations on the victory. How do you feel the race was?
Wait, can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Nice. I think obviously it's nice to come out with another win. Obviously there was a little bit of maybe let's say controversy on the last lap with Leon Skiller. I think you'll see with the onboards, I have no doubt they'll probably report it, but the contact model mid corner just kind of pushed them both wide, made it look a lot worse than it was. And then just unfortunate tire hooking as to why Luan went on the gravel. But yeah, it's nice to be back on the top step. What do you say, 8-13 or something crazy like that? So we're finding our feet, we're finding our form again this season, and it's good to be where we are.
Going ahead, of course, a win out of the opening two races, dependent, of course, this race. We know penalties, very dependent. Do you feel like going into the rest of the season, do you feel like sort of, is there, from your opinion, is there a real threat coming from AMS, SET, OMB off of these first two races?
Obviously, AMS is AMS. I mean, they have a very, very strong roster. Today they signed Kevin Zunneberg, who is a league race tier 1 driver. So it's clear they have some very, very quick drivers. I think last season we proved we can beat OMB, we can beat SET, we can beat obviously our competitors. Obviously, AMS is new, well, not new, but returning for assists. We haven't raced them at the top of the grid as AZR in FRLT. Where obviously as VL our roster wasn't as strong. But as about the first two races, I think it should be an interesting fight across the season, as you know, we're both going punch for punch, I guess. We're obviously very reliant on Yanez at the moment, 2 wins in 2. So we just got to hope that we can keep up this form and hopefully take our second championship in a row.
Yeah. Just one final question. Do you feel sort of going into the sort of, when you look at sort of on track at the moment, who's kind of realistically, where do you think you guys sit in, I guess, as a team in consistency? Because, you know, you've had the first race where your teammates had quite a bit of a gap, and this race again where both your drivers have had quite a bit of a gap. Do you feel sort of you need to close that a bit more?
Well, I think in terms of strategy today, LK, I think he boxed at the right time for mediums. Just unfortunate spin. Would have made the gap a lot smaller. He would have maybe gained a couple places. Obviously, Yanez is a very quick driver. It's quite hard to find 2 of Yanez unless we sent obviously Neo in. But I don't think we want Neo to race FRL to assists when we can have him preparing for NA. Obviously, we know LK is a quick driver. He did very well for LR last season. We've got, to be fair, when I look at attendance in our server, we've got lots and lots of quick drivers prepared to race. There's nothing wrong with our roster. I think we can definitely compete at the front. It's just, like you said, maintaining the consistency and making sure that we perfect strategy, perfect setups, and that we have absolutely no reason on why we can't keep on winning.
Well, thank you for joining me for the interview.
Thanks for having me.
Great performance again from your team. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. Who knows? I think next week.
See you on Saturday.
Yeah, I think next week's Mexico. I think, if I stand correct
Oh,
from memory. No, it's not. It is Las Vegas. I'm
Oh.
wrong. I've got them mixed up between round 3 and round 4. So Las Vegas. I mean, we know it was interesting last season. So who knows what we'll see this season? But thanks for joining, and maybe we'll see you win again next week.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll see you soon, man. Thanks for having me again.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Hello, Yanni.
Good evening. Good evening. Good
Welcome to the interviews. Great performance tonight, of
Sorry.
course. Great performance. Podium. Very nice to see. Big improvement from last race. We'll just put it as that. How do you feel the race went?
First of all, it was a really good race, to be honest. I didn't expect too much because I just jumped in the very last minute because Asuna, who was officially picked for the race, he had some internet problems. But yeah, so I did only one warm-up lap on qualification. When you send the second invite to me, it was on my warm-up lap. So that was my only qualification. And on the quali, I ran my absolute PB. So I'm really happy with that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should fit the dries in at the end of the race. I don't know what was the good strategy, to be honest, in the end. I will check it later, what could work a little bit better. But I'm really satisfied with the result, to be honest. I can pick up the pace with Frozen and Jannes. I think it's really, really good improvement from myself. I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I can only say. The race was really enjoyable. It was really, really chaotic in the rain, to be honest. I think every driver enjoyed a little bit, not just the Euros training in the dry, to be honest. And it was more spectacular for the spectators or the viewers.
I think very much it was a difficult race strategy and tire wise, because of course we saw. I think pretty much everybody was trying to go to the end.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
I think it was quite clear by about lap 18, it was just not going to be possible to just go that long.
Yeah.
Because this is not F1 24, it's 25. But my other question: do you feel sort of going into the rest of the season? Do you feel like this is very much where SET is going to be, sort of pushing for either top 8 on every race and podiums occasionally, or do you think it's going to be sort of podium sort of consistency?
I think in our perspective, we will try everything, and we have really, really good drivers. I try to drive as many races as I can, and we will see. I don't know, to be honest. It depends. It depends. It depends on many situations.
I'm going to message him and just tell him he needs to stop joining the interviews. I don't care if he's at work.
Who?
Epic Zach. I'm just gonna be like,
okay.
I'm just gonna say to him, I don't care. If you're at work, come join the interviews anyway.
maybe I told some secret, but I shouldn't tell.
He's gonna be like, you're fired. But no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining for the interviews. It's been great having you, and congratulations on the podium. Hopefully, we'll see you once again, maybe next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. And I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I did. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, have a great evening.
Yeah, you too.
See you. Take care.
Bye. So, with that, the interviews are done for tonight. It's very interesting to see the difference in AZR from first race to this race, and to see SET as well. SET, getting up on their 4th team number 4 this season to get a podium in 2 races already. I mean, to already have 40% of the grid on the podium is pretty good. I think we had 5 teams on the podium in the first 2 races of last season. So we had a one more team, but still realistically, it's still really good to have 4 teams on the podium already. I think it's tough to put it because I think AZR definitely, from just my opinion, no offense to them, they don't sound as confident from round one. I think this race definitely brought it a lot closer together. I think maybe a bit worried about the incident, of course, they had at the end, the sort of, as Ethan pointed out, the controversial end that they had. But even with the controversial end to the sort of race, it was still a really strong race from AZR nonetheless. It was still really strong, led pretty much every single lap, like complete dominance of 20 laps led, 20 laps led, absolute dominance from them. Honestly, brilliant driving from AZR. And really strong from Janus Mayborn, really strong. LK, bit of a questionable day on the other side. But still, very interesting to see. But with that, guys, that is sadly everything. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, make sure to click on the notification bell to know about all the content we do from streams, shorts, and videos. We've also got the No Assist trailer coming out very, very soon. Hopefully, it should be out by Friday. Either Friday or Saturday. So make sure to go do that. Also, make sure to go and follow us on Twitter, and which is down in the description. Also, join our Discord server, which is also, the link to that is down in the description. Also, big ups to our affiliates, Viari and Motorsport Connect. Outside of that, though, it's been pretty solid for the second race of the season. Not as interesting, I don't think, not as, I think, interesting or exciting as the first race, I think, especially with the wet conditions, but I think very interesting. I think it's been interesting, a different way of how the grid has changed from round 1 to round 2. And quite a few changes throughout the grid. I think a lot of change as well at the front, and that sort of mid-pack, a lot of change. UFRT and AERT dropping way back in the grid. But thank you for watching. I've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on Saturday for No Assist at 8 p.m. once again, UK time. Thank you so much, and goodbye.